this is Jokina with Modern Homemakers, and today I'm going to show you how to take the pulp, your carrot pulp, and, you know, if you don't have time to make these, just go put it in your compost. But if you're like me and you're like, oh, what can I do with this stuff? I recommend you try this recipe for crackers. And they are completely raw, which is awesome. Just great for your body when they're raw. But what we're going to do is set this aside for a second. We're going to focus on our flax seeds and our flax meal because they have to take some time to soak. So we're going to get 2 cups of each of these. I'm going to keep them separate. When you start eating healthy stuff, I recommend you label your jars because everything looks the same. Okay, 2 cups of that. You could grind your own flax seeds into flax meal, but we get flax meal from Costco way cheaper than just buying the seeds from Kroger or Whole Foods or something. So if you have a Costco membership, or if you don't, just go find a friend and beg them to buy you that one item. It's worth not worth the cost of a membership, but it's worth finagling a favor to get someone to get that for you. Alright, so we've got 2 cups of each of those in there, and I've measured out 2 cups exactly of warm water. It's going to make this go faster. You can use cold water, but I'm going to go ahead and use warm, and we're just going to let this get mixed up and stick there for a while, just so it gets all squishy. Flax meal is actually used as an egg replacer a lot. It's a binder, so it kind of thickens up into kind of like a thick pudding almost when it has time to sit there. So there you go. Just making sure it's all incorporated with the water. I'll walk away from that. Now, the flax seeds, I'm not going to give you an exact measurement because it's different every time I do this. So I've got 4 cups of water in here, and I'll use somewhere under that. So basically, we are putting in water until the point where all the flax seeds are covered. So I'm going to start with 2, but I might have to come back and add some more. And this is going to be really cool. We're going to walk away, and through the magic of, you know, recording here, we'll edit out the time period here, but these are going to swell up and become like this gluey substance. It's really cool. So anyway, we'll come back in a bit. So go switch over your laundry or watch an episode of something because you've got at least an hour here. So it kind of depends. I use the warm water, so that's probably going to make it faster. This one's setting up already. You can see this one is starting to get thicker already. See how that's thickening up? These are going to take a little longer. And soaking's really cool. Not a health expert here. I'll leave that to my mother, but it releases the enzymes and stuff in there so your body can digest it better. So cool to soak things. And we'll come back in a few minutes and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, it's been an hour and a half probably. Should have looked at the clock, and you can see this is totally like a really thick pudding. And this stuff is just, I don't even know how to describe that texture. Gloopy. You can see it's just a thick, they've swollen up. Anyway, I've kept this extra water because if it's hard to mix, we're going to add extra water. So we're going to take 4 cups of our carrot pulp left over, which I probably should have just measured out before we started filming, but you know. A little disclaimer, I can't remember if I said this already. This is not like the ultimate awesome by itself carrot cracker. This is something that I made because my children don't want to eat the really tasty crackers that have all the spices and stuff in them. So personally, I like this cracker with a dip. So like spread it in peanut butter, maybe a veggie cream cheese dip or something like that. As far as by itself, I think it's kind of boring, but you could eat this with soup, you know, just something else giving it the flavor. It's intentionally bland so that my children will eat it. So, and that's something we do. Instead of a PBJ sandwich, we might throw peanut butter crackers with these crackers in their lunches, and they eat them up. So anyway, all right, 4 cups of your carrot pulp. And we're going to take half a cup of olive oil. Another cheap thing at Costco. Olive oil, organic olive oil. If only it were in a plastic bottle, it would just be perfect. Let's see here. We're going to take 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. I don't think this is technically raw. I haven't cared enough to research because I like it too much and I'm not giving it up one way or another. Nutritional yeast has kind of a cheesy flavor. And these crackers just have a really nice crunchy taste to them, which is hard to get in the dehydrator, but they really do it. And we're going to put in a tablespoon of salt. Did we not bring down the salt? How embarrassing. We didn't have the salt down here. Anyway, you need a tablespoon of salt. That'll help keep these preserved and give them some flavor. I'm telling you, put something on them. It's like eating plain saltines. Boring. Okay. Got all that in there. Now we're going to start incorporating our wet, gunky stuff. So this is the flax meal. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start blending it with just the flax meal in there, because this is thick and you may find yourself having to go to by hand as we get towards the end of this. Although nothing is as fun to blend as cookies. You know, this is still good stuff. Yeah, you can get a close-up if you want. You can see the flax meal is really going to do its job by keeping these cookies together. Crackers! Now I'm talking about cookies! Ah! My kids, they're always like, can you make cookies? Okay, we've got that incorporated all the way down. And we'll start with the blender, but this stuff's going to be so thick. And remember, if you're struggling, your blender is having a hard time or whatever, you can just add more water. It's going to dehydrate out in the end anyway. I would add it gradually, because if it's too soupy, it's not going to lay on your dehydrator tray right. These things are so expensive. I like to get every one I can. We've had a lifelong struggle in our marriage, a marriage-long struggle between the cost of eating healthy and the cost of being sick when you're too frugal and you don't have the healthy food. So it's a fine balance. Okay. So, depending on how thick you spread these, you'll have a different amount of sheets in the end. But what we're going to do, rubber spatula is a must. It's your best friend. We're going to gloop some out here. And we're just going to start making this as flat as possible. Smoothing the top. I like to try not to get totally up to the edge, but I don't generally achieve that. Just makes the cleaning annoying when you have to clean flax seeds out of everything. Yep, there, we got to the edge. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Now, if you do it too thin, you'll see there's a hole here, and that's just too thin. We don't want holes in our crackers, so playing with that, move it across. Now, there are multiple ways to cut your crackers. Some people say throw it in the dehydrator for a couple hours until it gets solid enough that you can, you know, take a cookie, not a cookie, man, I'm on cookies today, a pizza cutter and kind of score them. But I have found the consistency of these crackers allows me to use the rubber spatula before I even put them in the dehydrator, which is great because I always forget. I get going with the kids and stuff and I forget to come back and do the pizza cutter thingy. So this is my technique where you can walk away from these crackers, throw them in, go to bed, don't worry about it. So Don't be concerned with having them perfectly level all the way across. You're not selling these in a store. These are going to get eaten far too fast. Anything I make seems to be gone far too fast. And then you have to make them again. So I'm learning over time to lower my standards. I used to cut everything into cute shapes for the kids, and it's not necessarily worth it to do that for everything. So if I didn't have enough, I could go get some more. If I had too much, I could take it off and throw it back in the bowl. But this looks pretty good to me, and I'm just going to try to even up my sides a little. Not going for perfection once again. Perfection takes a lot of work, and I just don't care enough. Okay, when you have it approximately in a square-ish shape, what you're going to do is you're going to take the edge of your rubber spatula and you're going to slowly drag, and this stuff is so thick that it's actually going to stay separated. If you've added too much water, it might pull back in on itself. But since I didn't add too much water, it worked. I'm going to go all the way across. Now I make it a point to use low temperatures in my dehydrator because I want to all this work trying to make this raw, and I don't want to cook that out in the dehydrator of all places. So I like to do 105, and these will still be crunchy even at 105. So we're gonna put this in the dehydrator, and we're gonna have to pause until tomorrow because these take forever. So this will be at least 12 hours in the dehydrator, probably closer to 24. So we'll see. Anyway, that's all you do. Keep going with the batter. You might have a partial tray when you get to the end of the batter and you don't have enough. It really depends on how thick you make them. But we'll come back later and we'll show you what those look like, and we'll give you a crunch test just so you can see how crunchy they are.
They're pretty crunchy. They're not bad. I think I would want to have a little bit of peanut butter or something to dip them in, but pretty good for the kids because they don't really have their taste buds developed yet anyway.
Yeah, they complain when we put flavor in things. So hold up the canister. This is how much it makes, that one recipe. So anyway,